love hackathons. I think there's huge amount of energy, huge amount of creativity, young people trying to do cool things, learning together, creating. And it's just like my favorite place to be, and I've had my fair share of hackathons. So really great pleasure to be here and talk to you today. So one thing is, this is bigger than I expected when they invited me. So this is really large here. I kind of feel like actually the scale of the hackathon is quite large. And I guess like one thing I wanted to start with is that, just in case you're wondering, this is not normal for AI. I've been in AI for about 15 years, so I can say that with confidence. And it's kind of just like grown a lot. So for me, AI is a couple hundred academics getting together in like a workshop, a conference, and talking together about some esoteric details of some math. And so this is what I'm used to. This is when I entered AI about 15 years ago. You're working with, say when you're training neural networks, you're working with these tiny digits from MNIST, you're training a restricted Boltzmann machine, you're using contrastive divergence to train your network, and then you're scrutinizing these on your first layer to make sure that the network trained correctly. And I know none of that makes any sense because it's been so long ago, but it was a different vibe back then, and it was not as crazy. I think things have really gotten out of proportion to some extent, but it is really beautiful to see the energy. And today, 15 years later, it looks a lot more like this. So this is, I guess, where AI is today, and that's also why this isn't this large, I expect. So yeah, NVIDIA, the manufacturer of GPUs, which is used for all the heavy lifting for our neural networks, is now the most valuable company in the United States and has taken over. And this is the day that we live in today, and why we have so many hackathons like this and so on, which I think is quite amazing, but definitely unprecedented. And this is a very unique point in time that many of you maybe aren't entering the AI field right now, and this is not normal. It's super interesting, super unique, really ton happening. Now, I think fundamentally the reason behind that is that I think the nature of computation basically is changing. And we kind of have like a new computing paradigm that we're entering into. And this is very rare. I kind of almost feel like it's the 1980s of computing all over again. And instead of having a central processing unit that works on instructions over bytes, we have these large language models, which are kind of like the central processing unit working on tokens, which are little string pieces instead. And then in addition to that, we have a context window of tokens instead of a RAM of bytes. And we have equivalents of disk and everything else. So it's a bit like a computer, and this is the orchestrator. And that's why I call this like the large language model, LMOS. And I've sort of like tweeted about this in some more detail before. And so I see this as a new computer that we're all learning how to program, and what it's good at, what it's not as good at, how to incorporate it into product, and really how to squeeze the most out of it. So that I think is quite exciting. And I think maybe many of you have seen the GPT-4o demo that came out from OpenAI 3 weeks ago or something like that. And you're really starting to get a sense that this is a thing that you can actually talk to. And it responds back in your natural interface of like audio, and it sees and hears and can paint and can do all these things. I think potentially many of you have seen this movie. If you haven't, I would definitely watch it. It's extremely inspirational for us today, movie Her. And actually kind of presently in this movie, when this main character here talks to the AI, that AI is called an OS, an operating system. So I think that's very present from that movie. And it's a beautiful movie, and I encourage you to watch it. Now, the thing is that in this movie, I think the focus is very much on like the emotional intelligence kind of aspects of these models. But these models, in practice, in our society, will probably be doing a ton of problem solving in the digital space. And so it's not just going to be a single digital entity that kind of in some weird way resembles a human almost, in that you can talk to it, but it's not quite a human, of course. But it's not just a single digital entity. Maybe there's many of these digital entities. And maybe we can give them tasks, and they can talk to each other and collaborate, and they have fake Slack threads. And they're just doing a ton of work in the digital space. And they're automating a ton of digital infrastructure. Not just digital infrastructure, but maybe physical infrastructure as well. And this is kind of in earlier stages, I would say, and will probably happen slightly lagging behind a lot of digital innovations, because it's so much easier to work with bits than atoms. But this is another movie that I would definitely point you to. It's one of my favorites. It is not very well known at all. It's called iRobot, and it's from 2004. Will Smith, amazing movie. And it kind of explores this future with like humanoid robots doing a lot of tasks in society. And kind of spoiler alert, it doesn't go so well for these people in this movie, and the robots kind of like take over a little bit. But I think it's kind of interesting.